Hey, what's up? Yeah, it's a beautiful day here in San Francisco, but I hope that you're healthy, your family's all healthy, and you're doing well, and just that you're working on something that you're really passionate about and that really moves you. So today's interview is with Melissa, and Melissa is works the front desk at Mataria Dental Group, and she's really, really, really thoughtful about the patient and the patient experience and like patient communication, right? Like that's what she's really, really thoughtful about, and I think that it's always so cool to like think about and reflect on that lens, like in this kind of market and this kind of business, right? And like a dental business, and how that kind of like is also applicable, and like lessons from that are also applicable to other different types of markets and businesses, right? It's always so interesting, I think, to like think about that kind of thing. So this was a really interesting conversation, and it was also cool, I mean, to hear her journey of like, that's another thing that's interesting, I think, from like people's different stories, is like how they kind of tried all these different things, but then eventually they found what they were really passionate about, and then they really like went in on that thing, and then were really able to make a really positive impact on people's lives. And that's something that Melissa's done as well, and that she explains in this. So I mean, yeah, it's just inspiring and cool, and I think you guys will really enjoy this one.
Melissa, like one of the first questions I wanted to ask you was, I understand that you're working at the front desk and starting to be a dental hygienist, and I was wondering if you could tell me about your journey so far.
Well, so far I'm doing my prerequisites at school right now, so I have about 2 semesters left, and then from there I can start applying to dental hygiene school. So for now, I'm just kind of learning still all of the things that they use in the back. I try to like pay more attention to like instruments that they use, and like I mean, I know about the procedures. Since I focus so much on like billing, and my main priority is like the billing and treatment planning, things like that for patients. I get to use all of this to kind of help me explore a little bit more like in the dental field. And really, I mean, I have resources I can use. I have the hygienist there, I have the doctors there, so it really helps out a lot. I feel like going towards my career, so I get to like know a little bit more and have kind of that background knowledge when I start school.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And how did you first kind of get started with dentistry or get interested in that initially? And yeah, just how did you kind of get started? Have you always lived in California, or yeah, I would just love to hear how you got started with all that.
Yeah, so I mean, I lived in California my whole life. I was born
Okay.
and raised here. I really never was like interested in leaving. I guess I've always just loved being here and loved the state. I never would have imagined that I would have wanted to do dentistry. It was pretty funny I mean, when COVID hit, I used to work at the airport, and I used to work at like a little bookstore. It was like nothing to do with dental. And I was just like thinking about things like what I can do. And I was like telling my mom, I remember telling her, like, I don't know, I want to get into something where I can help people. And like, that's always been my thing. Like, I've always liked to help people and just be resourceful and things like that. So she was like telling me, like, why don't you work front desk? I've told her I've always wanted to work at an office. And so she was like, why don't you work like at a front desk somewhere? And so I just kind of started looking around, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to apply and see if I can work at a dental office. So this was before I started working at Mataria Dental Group. But I don't know, I didn't really think anything of it. I'm like, I'm just going to work in the front, and I'm not going to be like totally away from dental. I'm not going to be excited to know anything about it. And so I remember getting home, and my mom would tell me, like, I would always tell her, like, oh, tooth number this, and today we did this, and like learning about the procedures and things. And she would look at me and she'd be like, oh my God, like, you really like this? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. And my goal was to be a teacher. So that was like
Mm.
my thing. I wanted to become a teacher. And then I actually did work at a school for a little bit. Like, I was volunteering with like little kids. And then when I started, I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to do this. And then when I started working at Mataria Dental Group, I was like, you know what? It completely changed my thought process, because I see how passionate the doctors there are and how helpful they are and how we really change people's lives. You know, like one day they come in, they're in pain, and then they leave and they have a smile on their face. And I told my mom, like, this is what I want to do. I want to help people be happy with their smile, be comfortable with their smile. And like, she's like, well, this is what you want to do. This is what you're going to do. So I actually have a family that's in the dental field, and I
Mm.
kind of started talking to them a little bit more and seeing how they thought about what they thought about the dental field. And they were like, it's amazing. We love it. I have a cousin who's a dental hygienist. So I've really been talking to her and getting to know a little bit more about the career and everything. And so that's when I really decided, like, you know what, this is something that I want to do. I want to be able to help people out, not just with like their health, but also with like their self-esteem, you know, because I think that the smile is like the biggest part of someone's self-esteem. Like it really helps them feel better.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's so cool to hear, Melissa. I mean that like, you made that transition like that because I mean
Mm-hmm.
and you found something like now that you really like and that you're passionate about because I mean, I think that like a lot of us feel like that sometimes like in our careers and our jobs, but it's scary, right? It's so hard to make that
Mm-hmm.
transition like that because there's all that unknown. And that's so cool to hear that you leaned into that. You're like, no, I want to do this. I want to do something different, and you found that. So that's so cool to hear. And I mean, being the front desk part too. I mean, I'm really curious to learn more about that part. And uh, you being the first person that many patients interact with, how do you kind of help them feel welcome and at ease, especially if they're like a new patient?
I think my main thing is that I just talk. Like I talk a lot, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. But I honestly, like when I go somewhere new, I feel very intimidated. And I feel like I'm really shy, and so having someone there that talks to me and like makes me feel welcome, I think is really important. So that's kind of like my main goal is to feel patients welcome, like feel welcome, and feel like we're a family, you know, because at the end of the day, we are there all the time and we love taking care of our people and our patients and seeing them happy and really getting to know about like their lives. And, you know, it's not just about coming to a dental appointment, getting your procedure done, and then leaving, you know, it's about learning about them, how they're feeling, what they're doing. Like, they have so many projects and there's like really interesting people, and like it's all about, I guess, like networking as well, you know, like half of the time these people are working in things that we're really interested in, and it's like nice that they get to know about us. A lot of the patients don't know like how their insurance works, let's say, and I kind of get the chance to talk to them about how everything works. And then it's like really cool to also get, like, sometimes they think that they can't get a certain thing done, or they don't know about like what like a dental procedure is, let's say, and then I can go in and explain to them like, well, actually you can get this done, your insurance lets you do this. And you know, and then they get a little bit more knowledge on their insurance as well. um but I think it's really nice to have like a really well like knit office where like they get to feel really close to us too and be excited to come into the dental appointments. I have so many patients who like call me and they're like, okay, I'll see you guys next week. And they're super excited to come in. And like, that's what we want, you know, we want them to feel happy and like not scared and traumatized, you know? So I think it's really important to get to talk to them and make them feel welcome throughout their visit and just in general.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely feel, I mean, I feel like that's the right word. I mean, like intimidation. Like sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
intimidating, like just going to the dentist, number one. And number two is just like when there's like all these things if you don't know about it, like insurance and stuff like that, when you don't know about it, it just kind of creates like anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes you don't want to ask, because then you don't
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
maybe you should know this or something about your own
Yeah.
insurance or whatever. So that actually, it's like, yeah, that's so huge. I mean, having someone that you feel like you're just comfortable with and that you can actually ask them. And um, yeah, it takes a while. I mean, it's some people really struggle with building like that, the level of comfort and that connection initially. And so it's really clear to see, like with Mataria Dental Group, though, that from like all the reviews and the experiences that patients have, that it's just like they really do feel like they can connect with like you and the other
Mm-hmm.
members of the team, and that's so great to hear. That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
I was the other thing I wanted to ask you was like, I know you mentioned the part about insurance, and I was wondering if there were some common questions or other concerns you hear from patients, and how you typically address those if anything comes up.
Yeah, so I think that the main thing is, well, like when a patient comes in, the main thing that they want to get done is like their cleaning, let's say, right?
Hmm.
So we have them come in for the routine cleanings, and certain insurances only cover it like sometimes like 2 times per year, let's say. And so I think that the main thing is that we have them on like a certain recall. So we have them come in like every 3 months, every 4 months, every 6 months. So it's different for every person because we don't want to just have everyone come in at a certain time. We want everyone to, like, we want to work on their based on their needs, you know. So a lot of the patients are worried that they won't cover it, or if they come in sooner it's not going to cover it, things like that. So I think that the main thing, that's like one of the main questions that people ask. And so I always make sure when I'm doing like their breakdown where I'm checking their insurance and seeing what it covers, that I know exactly whether it's going to be like 6 months plus a day, or if it's going to be like 3 months, or it's covered like sometimes some insurances cover like 4 times a year. So if they're worried about that, I already have that information. I can tell them, you know what, you're good, you're covered until this. So I think that that's one of their main, like, I guess that they're just afraid sometimes to like come in when something's not going to be covered, or also like knowing when they're gonna max out. Like insurances only cover a certain amount per year, and so I'm like always making sure we're checking to see how much it's covered, because a lot of the times insurances could be kind of like intimidating and scary. People think that it's like not gonna cover anything, and some insurances actually do. So I'm just always open to helping them out and checking and making sure everything's good. But I think that those would be the main questions. Or like for major procedures like implants, things like that, people automatically think it's not covered. So I think it's just really important to have like a breakdown and check everything that's covered, so that way they won't have to feel like their insurance isn't going to cover anything, or they can't get certain coverage, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And is that kind of the main thing that you see people are usually like anxious about, or are they ever kind of anxious about the like like having pain at the dentist, or like being afraid of the dentist like in that way, or and if they are, like how would you kind of handle that, or what advice do you give to people that are kind of anxious about that
Well,
stuff?
yeah, I think a lot of people have like really bad dental anxiety. Um, I was one of those people. Like, it just honestly, it just depends. Like, certain people, they're different, you know, and you have to really like read the person and have to really see what they like. A lot of people like to go in and it's like, okay, they put their headphones on and they're focused and they're like, okay, I'm good. Like, I don't need to talk to anyone. Some people need that extra like push, you know. Um, I can kind of like, I don't know, I guess I kind of calm them down a little bit. I mean, I'm a patient there. I get my cleanings there. I have gotten my wisdom teeth taken out by Dr. Mataria. I'm doing Invisalign right now. So I can relate to a lot of things. You know, patients come in and they're scared of like getting, I've also had fillings done by Dr. Levingard. And I tell them like, I've had like every procedure in the book done with our like staff, you know? And I'm like, you guys are going to be fine. There's no need to worry. And we do have like a lot of, ways of helping our patients. I think that a lot of people, they're just afraid of being like, they're by themselves, and it's like a new, like a first time procedure. They have like no knowledge of what's really going on. So I think that us kind of going and talking to them step by step, telling them what we're going to do first, and kind of talking like our way through the procedure really helps with the dental anxiety. And then also, we have Maya. I don't know if you know about Maya, Dr. Mataria's
Yeah, I
dog.
do. I do. Yeah.
She's there, and then Rosie's there too. It's Dr. Levingard's dog. So our patients love dogs, and so I think that them being there kind of really helps calm them down. And it's something that you don't see in a lot of places. You know, like you don't walk into a dental office and you see a dog. So a lot of
Yeah.
patients really like having them there, and it really calms them down. Some people request them, and then also them
Oh,
knowing that, like, you know, I've been through what they're gonna be like going through, and I tell them like, you know what, she's great, you're gonna have a good time. And a lot of patients come out smiling, you know. I think I've seen a lot of patients get an implant done. I mean, I've never had an implant. I've had Dr. Mataria take my wisdom teeth out, which I know it can be like uncomfortable and everything, but he was like 5 minutes and you're out. It was so easy, so fast. I didn't even notice when he pulled it out. he took my mom's wisdom teeth out, and I told them like, and I tell them this, so then they're like, okay, you know what? It's not gonna be bad. If she got it done, I could get it done, you know? And then they come out and they're smiling, and I'm like, I told you. And they're like, oh my God, he was so fast, and that was so good. And I'm like, yeah. So a lot of the times I think that it's just more like, I mean, it's natural, you know, you're gonna feel that anxiety. I was scared. I still get scared when I'm in the dental chair, even though I know it's gonna be an easy procedure. But I think it's all about kind of just reassuring them, and also our like techniques. You know, our staff is super friendly, and everyone's like really, we're willing to be there for the patient and really kind of just make them feel like it's gonna be okay and they're not gonna have like a lot of pain and things like that. And just like showing them everything that we use, from materials to like how it goes and all of that. And like our technology also is like really helpful nowadays, because we have like things that are not like, back then we used to have a lot of like, I remember going to the dentist and like I hated taking x-rays because the pieces were so big and like my mouth would hurt and like my gums, and I was little, you know, so it's like hard for me to like think that x-rays aren't gonna hurt, you know. But we have like newer technology, and it's really helpful when it comes to like certain procedures. Like if we're gonna get a scan, it's gonna be super easy, and then we can show the patient, you know, like these are your teeth, these are your roots, things like that, so they're kind of like familiarized, and it like helps them with all of that. I think that that's one of our biggest ways of helping them calm down and not have that much dental anxiety.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Oh my gosh. Like I can tell that, I mean, you guys are so focused on like the patient experience and making them feel really comfortable. And all those things you described, I mean even the insurance part too, but like they're all like these things in like this realm of like, and it's hard, I think, for patients like to like explain or describe like all the things that are causing the anxiety, but there's just like this bundle of stuff that's just attached to coming to the dentist. And it sounds like you guys were so good at like just breaking those barriers down, and even like the education side, like understanding the patient and explaining it to them in a way that like really they can understand kind of what's happening, and then they feel more comfortable. And it must be so crazy to have like this experience, like you're coming in like anxious, and then, or even if you're a new patient, you don't really know kind of what's going to happen, but then afterwards it's almost like this magical experience, like you said with the wisdom teeth, like, whoa, what, that was so quick, that happened so, like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about like the part like kind of taking care of our oral health at home? Like, are there any kind of like tips that you have for that, or easy dental care tips that you think everyone should know, or that things to focus on at home that you've seen to help?
I think that just kind of like really doing like research, you know, like, well, I do my research. I'm weird like that, and I like to check on dental things and things like that, like outside of work. But I also think that learning and like taking tips from your hygienist and your dentist are really important. Like, I mean, I didn't know before I started working there that electric toothbrush was way better than like a normal toothbrush, you know. And it really just depends on the person. But like the soft bristles, things like that. So then I got home and I was like, I'm gonna get an electric toothbrush, and I noticed a difference, you know, like your teeth feel so much better, and it also helps you time. Like some people just brush their teeth, and then that's it, you know. This one times you exactly 2 minutes, and once it's done, then you know you're done. And I put my whole family on them, and I'm like, you guys need to get these electric toothbrushes, and they're like, okay. And you notice a difference, you know, you really do. And I just think it's just really important for you to listen to. I know it's just like, it sounds like that because I work at a dental office, but it really is, you know. And you're taking care of your oral health at the end of the day. We just want to keep our teeth forever, and we don't want to end up with like cavities and things like that. But I mean, yeah, we just have a lot of tips for patients. It just depends on, you know, certain ones. There's like, I mean, I was told to use like fluoride mouthwash, because like you can use it at night, and that's gonna help you when you're sleeping. It's like working in your mouth while you're sleeping, because during the day you eat and things like that. So so I use like fluoride toothpaste and fluoride mouthwash. So yeah, I think things like that. Oh, a water pick, my favorite. I stand by water picks. It feels really good to have like to know that your mouth is clean. I don't know. I feel like when I use a water pick, my mouth feels cleaner, you know? And when I started Invisalign, I think that my biggest change that I noticed was like how much cleaner my teeth feel. And I think that this is because, well, I mean, every time you have your trays on, you take them off and you're going to eat something, you want to brush your teeth before you put your trays on, you know? So I think that if I could give an advice to an Invisalign patient, it would be to get a water pick. Invest in a water pick because you'll feel a lot better, and you can get in those spaces because you have attachments and things like that, so you can get behind those like attachments and things. And so even if it's just to use a water pick and you don't have a toothbrush, or you could just floss real quick and like things like that, yeah, that would be my biggest what's it called, advice.
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy. Like, I mean, it's such an important part of like, us, like our mouth and
Yeah.
everything. But so many people, I mean, we just don't really know like all the like the best way to take care of it, and like even, I mean, the toothbrush thing you're saying, it resonates so much with me. I think like half my life I was not using an electric
Yeah.
toothbrush, and then one day like my dad's dentist told him to use it, and then he got it for all of our family, and we were all, it's like the one that like buzzes after 2 minutes
Yeah.
and stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so cool. Do you have any tips for like cleaning the Invisalign trays, or like ways to keep those clean in like an easy way, or do you just kind of brush them, or yeah, what works best for that?
Well, I always like let's say when I go to work, right? I don't have my electric toothbrush and my water pick and everything like that. So I have like a little travel kit that it has like my toothbrush, my toothpaste,
Nice.
things like that. So I go to lunch, I get out of I go back to the office and I brush my teeth real quick in the bathroom, and I always make sure that I use my toothbrush and like just with water brush the trays, so that way it's not like, I mean, it's not dirty, but you just make sure that you give it like a little scrub, and then you pop it back in. And I mean, it just depends. Every patient's different, but usually it's every week that you switch out your trays. So if like midweek you feel like your trays are kind of like looking a little gross or something, I always use, there are these little tabs and they're called Retainer Bright, and you can pop them in water. You leave the tab in there and you put your trays in there like while you're eating or just for like 30 minutes, and then they come out and they're like really clean. So
Oh,
that helps
awesome.
for
Yeah.
retainers and also Invisalign trays. And then, I mean, another thing is we clean people's retainers and like night guards. So next visit you want to pop in and you bring us your retainer, we can clean it and like sterilize it and make sure it's squeaky clean, and you can have a clean retainer. So those are just some tips. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are awesome tips. Awesome tips. And like the last like kind of question I wanted to ask you was, like what do you think the biggest barriers people face in maintaining the like dental health, and how can they kind of overcome them?
I think some of the main ones are fear. I think that a lot of people are scared of like judgment. I know a lot of people who haven't gone to the dentist in like a while, and they tell me, "Oh, I'm just scared, like my teeth are really bad and I'm gonna get judged," and I'm like, it's really hard to kind of get over that and make an appointment for yourself, because I've had people in that situation, like friends, family, and it's really hard for them to say, okay, I'm going to step foot into this dental office and they're going to not judge me, but it's really important, like I said, for us to really talk to the patient and get to know them. Like when I schedule an appointment, I ask, when was the last time you went to the dentist, and when was the last time you had your cleaning, things like that. And some people have told me, like, I'm super scared of going. I haven't gone to the dentist in 5 years, and I know it's really bad, and you guys are gonna need I'm gonna need all this treatment. And I'm like, you know what? We're in no judgment zone here. We're gonna take it step by step, and you guys are gonna be able to come out feeling, okay, you know what? I have work to get done, but I can knock it out the park and just do like my treatment steps at a time, and sometimes they feel overwhelmed if they do have a lot of treatment, and I tell them, you know what, we're gonna break it up. You don't have to do all of this. I know it's kind of overwhelming, but we're gonna go step by step, and you don't have to be scared like, oh my god, I have to do everything. But I think that's one of the biggest things, that people are really afraid of being judged. And like, it's not just about saying, you know what, I don't want to go to the dentist, like there's a lot of people, like people are so busy, people work, people have kids, like life changes, and it's really hard to make time to go to the dentist sometimes, you know, but it's also like really important to have that as part of our routine and say, you know what, I also have to take care of myself. You know, I take care of my kids, I take care of my family, I take care of my pets. And it's like, what about you? You know, so that's one of the biggest things that I've seen since I've been working in dental. People just are scared of getting judged when in reality your dentist is not going to judge you. We want to help you and make sure that you're healthy and that you're happy, you know?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Thank you so much, Melissa. I mean, all the tips and advice were so great, and it was so cool and like inspiring too to hear about your story and how you kind of got here and how you made that life switch like that. Like that's
Yeah.
so cool, and I know that like you're making so many people like you and the team are making so many people smile and really happy, and it really does feel like a magical experience, and it's so cool. I mean, to hear behind the scenes like all the thought and the moving part that goes into creating an experience like that for patients. So it's so cool. Was there anything else I should have I forgot to ask you about, or you want to talk about, or I should ask you about, about your journey, or like how you think about patients, or about working at Mataria Dental Group that I missed?
I don't think so. I think we covered mostly everything. Yeah. I'm excited.
Awesome.
You know, I just feel like it's going to be, I don't know. I feel like now that I feel like we can connect more with patients one on one, you know, like, just technology is like our biggest thing. And then Dr. Mataria is really big on that. Dr. Levengart is like huge with like, she keeps herself up to date with like going to courses and things like that. So I feel like our patients are going to benefit from that. So yeah, I'm excited to see
Yeah,
where all of this goes.
100%, 100%.